Uncharted 4 finally came out. I feel like I've been waiting for this game since the second I finished Uncharted 3, which honestly could have been setting myself up for a little disappointment, especially since I have been known to call Uncharted the perfect game series, but it totally exceeded all of my expectations. The game is amazing. Oh, and first let me go ahead and say that I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible until the end, which then I'm going to spoil the shit out of it, but I'll give you plenty of warning. But for this first part, I'm just going to talk about the game as a whole and what I liked, and some of the things I didn't like, but I'll keep it as spoiler-free as humanly possible. First, going off some of the things that I did like, this is Naughty Dog, it's Uncharted, so of course you already know the characters, the voice acting, the graphics are all going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, good lord, Uncharted 4's scenery and environments were just absolutely stunning. I tweeted out that I thought that every time in the game it couldn't get any prettier, I would go to the next level and it would be absolutely just more beautiful than the last one. Some of the levels just had me standing there just panning the camera around. Oh, in photo mode. Holy shit, I love photo mode. But just panning the camera around, looking at all the different environments and all the small little details that go into everything. It's one thing I love about Naughty Dog is they put just as much effort into the smallest details that most people probably won't even notice that they put into the very items that are right in front of the gamers' faces. And you can really see that when you just look around and just take in, you know, this world that you're running around in. It's beautiful. I think some of my favorite areas were definitely like Scotland, Madagascar, when you were in that, you first get in the Jeep and you're running around, or not running around, you're driving around the mud trying to get up to the volcano. I loved climbing on top of buildings or rocks and just staring out into the mass world and just looking at how things just seem to go on forever. I also loved all the beach area. God, all just the islands and the greenery and the jungle, just God, it was so beautiful. And still talking about the environments and the levels in the world, Uncharted 4 has more, I'd say, open, explorable areas than the past Uncharted's. A lot more places that you can just kind of run around and climb shit and look for treasures and just explore before going on to the next, like the next objective. I love that kind of stuff because I am definitely one of those people that want to find every little nook and cranny in a level. And one of the things that I think Naughty Dog does a perfect job at is making the end of a play space seem like it's a natural area that you can't get past. You're never running into just completely invisible walls, or you get a message that pops up that says like, oh, you've swum out too far, you better go back before the current gets you. Naughty Dog just does a really good job of making those end of play spaces seem very natural, and they do a really good job of guiding you to the objective without holding your hand. Probably one thing I'm going to say more than once is that I love Naughty Dog and Uncharted because they treat their gamers like smart people. I don't feel like at any point do they treat us like idiots. Not only in their game level design, but also in some of the story and how certain things play out, which I'll get into a little bit later. Most of the time, there was never one right way to go. There was different ways and different avenues you could take to get to your end goal or to get to where you're trying to go. And I thought that was brilliant because it wasn't just like, oh, you just climb up these boxes and that ledge and that's the one way you would go. There were different offshoots and different forks you could take to get to where you were going, which made the environment feel even more real. And also in my quest to find all of the treasures, which I didn't in my first playthrough because I didn't want to play with a walkthrough, I'm going to do that in my second playthrough, to get all those treasures. I really loved that a lot of times the right way was actually the off the beaten path way. It was the not so obvious way. A lot of times I'd take those ways thinking I was going to go find treasure, but that was actually the way, you know, the way to go. And a lot of times the big open, you know, this is the pathway, this is where you go, that was, you know, a dead end, or it would make you have to loop back and then actually really kind of look around and search for that path, which again just made things even more interesting and was more example of Naughty Dog not treating us like idiots, that we need big, you know, glowing signs and stuff saying this is the way. It would kind of just say, all right, well, that way didn't work out, what are you gonna do now? And you kind of just had to find your way around. I do wish though the hint option that would pop up and show you where to go had a longer timer, because I would run around and just be looking for treasure or looking at the graphics Again, if you were on my live stream when I played this game, I am one of those people that will walk up to a wall and just stare at the wall and look at all the different textures. I love textures in game environments. I love textures. So I'll just be running around enjoying my scenery, and that hint button kept popping up. And be like, bing! It's like, no. I am going to get to that game. I'm just enjoying your artwork first. So I do wish that had a longer timer. Other than that, exploring in Uncharted is incredibly satisfying. Also, talking about gameplay is the controls. Every single Uncharted game, I feel like its controls have gotten better and better and just more fluid. You know, a lot of other games that do the kind of parkour adventuring thing where you're just jumping from ledges and you're swinging from things, I find myself yelling at the character a lot, going, no, I told you to hold on. I told you not to jump that way, jump this way. It's just, I fight with Assassin's Creed all the time because I never feel like the character is doing what I'm actually telling it to do. And in Uncharted 4, I never found myself getting mad at Drake for grabbing the wrong ledge or dropping when he was supposed to hold on. It seemed very smart, and it seemed to know just where I was trying to go. I will say, though, when talking about controls, I found the combat to be frustrating. I know that combat has been some of the weaker points for a lot of people when playing Uncharted. It's never really been much of a big deal to me to get frustrated in Uncharted's combat. Uncharted's not a shooter. It's not a run and gun. Even though you do take a lot of cover and you need to take a lot of cover in Uncharted, I wouldn't even call it a cover-based shooter. It's just not a shooter. It's an adventure game that's got bad guys in it that need to be shot. But that being said, I feel like I sucked way more in Uncharted 4's combat than I did in any of the other games. I played it on just the normal default average difficulty because I do like some challenge. Although I am playing it much more for the story and for the adventure, I do need a little bit of challenge in my combat encounters because that's what makes it fun when you finally get the kill. But I was dying constantly. I feel like in Uncharted 4, I was always surrounded. Like, you could do a lot of stealth kills, and although I did do stealth kills a lot, just to kind of weed down the number of bad guys in an area before I go guns blazing, I feel like I would, get a pretty good lay of the land before I would go into a shooting rampage, and I'd be like, okay, there's 4 dudes left, I can take care of them. I start shooting, and all of a sudden there's like 15 dudes. Where the hell did they all come from? But not only was I constantly feeling like I was surrounded, but they all seemed to be bullet sponges. They could take way more damage than I could, and they all had like an unlimited amount of grenades. I'd get into cover, and as soon as I'd pop up to shoot somebody, someone would throw a grenade. So I'd have to roll dodge out of the way, let it go off, roll dodge back into my cover, and as soon as I'd pop up to shoot somebody, another grenade. It was constantly a hailstorm of grenades on me, no matter what the combat situation. And that drove me crazy. But with the combat being a little frustrating and somewhat annoying at times, it didn't really take away from my full experience of the game. But you really can't talk about Uncharted without talking about the story and the characters. Ever since the beginning of Uncharted, Naughty Dog has been able to make an absolutely amazing cinematic experience with their voice actors and their motion capture. And then being able to put that into the game and make it an extremely personal experience. Just in my opinion, just personally speaking, I think video games are better than movies. I think that video games are a higher form of entertainment. In a movie, it's completely passive. I am just a person sitting there watching somebody else's story. I have no say in anything, I have no control over anything, I'm just sitting there viewing it. But in video games, no matter how linear the story or the world is, in video games I'm still controlling that character and I'm going through that experience as that character, which just there already makes it a more personal experience, and since I am having control of the character, makes me form a more bond to that character I'm playing and the story and the other characters around me. And then to add in Naughty Dog's just complete perfection when it comes to characters and adding a realism to them in the video game, I can't help but get completely immersed in this world, which is awesome because that's why I play video games. I play video games to get completely immersed, to be somebody that I'm not. Whether it's a dude or a demigod or, a little Italian plumber or just an Amazon woman with giant boobs. And when a game allows me to really get immersed into that and really feel a connection to not only who I'm playing, but the other NPCs in the world, I love it. I don't know who wouldn't. All the regular players are back. Nolan North as Nathan Drake, and Elena and Sully, and they're all back. And then now they got Troy Baker playing Small spoiler alert, but you should probably already know that if you've watched any of the trailers or anything. But Troy Baker playing Sam, who is Nathan Drake's older brother that we just now are finding out about. Which, side note, I really didn't like that at first. It felt like a cheap, we don't know what else to do or where to go with the story, so we're going to pull out a phantom brother that you never knew he had. But, again, Naughty Dog, not acting like we are idiots, treated that and actually explained it throughout the story and conversations and stuff very well that made it make sense that we hadn't heard of him before. But back to voice acting. I'm a huge Nolan North and Troy Baker fan, so I thought that was cool. And with, the introduction of Nathan Drake's new brother, I felt like he kind of took too much of a spotlight away from Sully. I wanted more Sully. I love Sully. He's like the coolest dude, and I definitely could have used a lot more Sully in the game. But one of the new guys to the series, I actually thought did an amazing job in a lot of scenes that he was in. I thought he stole the show, especially, how do I say this without spoilers, especially your last conversation with him. I thought he just completely stole the scene and was amazing, and that was the guy who played Rafe. I believe his name is Warren Cole. And when I looked up his IMDb, it didn't really seem like he had done a whole lot of other stuff. But he was really good. God, he nailed that character. I adored him. I loved him. I thought he was great. And just all the small little just gestures that the NPCs make when you're speaking to them or you're watching a cutscene, and oh my God, the just transitions between Uncharted's always done a really good job of this. The transitions between gameplay and cutscene being so seamless. It's beautiful. The game is just so freaking beautiful. But one of my favorite things about the series since day one, and it's just gotten better and better and better, is the interactions between Nathan Drake, and the NPCs. Just small little things and all the little just quips and conversations that you are hearing that are interacting with the way you're playing the game at that moment is amazing, that other people might not even hear if they don't do the same actions I did. I was in this big fancy mansion thing, and I was just running through a room, and I accidentally knocked into a side table that had a vase on it, and it knocked over and the vase broke. It was just because I was stupid. It wasn't in my way. It wasn't anything. I was just running around looking at the environment, and I knocked over this thing, and the other character with me, said something about, hey, we're trying to be quiet or be careful. And it's just little things like that. If I hadn't knocked over that vase, that wouldn't have happened. And so I would have missed a small little piece of conversation or a small little one line. But the fact that all of the NPCs and Nathan Drake seem to be equipped with these just little hot points of when something happens in the world, they react to it and they say something about it, makes it even more just an amazing immersive experience. As you probably already know, this is, as Naughty Dog has said, the last in the Uncharted series. And I was, and am totally cool with that. You would think I wouldn't be because I'm the biggest Uncharted fan ever, but no, I am a huge supporter of ending things when they're good. I tell people all the time, they know that Firefly is my favorite TV show ever, and they're like, oh, we need more of it. We need another Firefly show. No, we don't. It ended on a high note. Well, it ended when it was still really good. It ended when it was amazing. Let it stay that way. We got a movie, and the movie, Serenity, was awesome, but that's it. I don't need any more, because when you keep putting out something really good, it's too much of a good thing, and it loses steam, and it just becomes kind of flat and boring and stupid. We've seen it happen a million times over. So the fact that Uncharted is done, I'm totally cool with. I love it. But I hated the way they ended it. Without going into spoilers, I just want to touch briefly on the very, very last chapter before credits rolled. I'm not going to say anything about it until we get into the spoiler section of this review, but I will say that what I did not like about it is I felt it was rushed. I felt it was like a, holy shit, we don't know how to end this, so just put this in there. It was cheesy, it was generic, it was boring. I hated that not only my experience with this one game ended like that, but this whole series, one of my favorite video game series ever, ended on such a meh note. God, I can only assume, and I might be totally wrong, I can only assume that that was not the original ending that Amy Hennig had written for the game. As you know, Amy Hennig is the mother of Uncharted, and she left during Uncharted 4's development, which then the guys from Last of Us took over, and They rewrote a whole bunch of the story notes, and I believe they ditched, I think it was like 8 or 9 months of shooting. So I really liked Last of Us, but I feel like Last of Us and Uncharted are two completely different games. I just don't feel like that ending was the ending that Amy Hennig would have wanted, because just judging on the decisions that had been made from Uncharted 1 through 3, it just felt generic. I don't always need wrap up. I don't mind when a game or a movie or book or whatever kind of wraps some things up and gives me a little bit of closure. But I like it when that closure is done in a way that I still get to use my imagination on what actually fully is happening now that the story's over. I don't like things to be super, open shut, because then, especially in a story with a character that I felt so personally attached to and felt like it was so much of me, which sounds really weird, but to have it such a open and shut ending like that felt it was a little disappointing. And it wasn't like any, I don't want to say what it wasn't, because then you guys are it's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, I really didn't like it. It was stupid. But before I go into spoilers, I'll go ahead and say I give it a 9 out of 10. It's probably not my favorite Uncharted. I still go Uncharted 2 is probably my favorite, followed by 3 and then 4. Oh, it's in order. And I love Uncharted 1 still. I love it because it was the beginning of my obsession. It's kind of like people say Empire is their favorite Star Wars, but I usually say A New Hope because A New Hope is what started it for me. You can't have Empire without New Hope, and I kind of feel the same way with Uncharted. It's an excellent game. If you have not played it past Uncharted's, I do feel to get the most out of the game, playing 1 through 3 first is a must. You've got to. If you really want to get into the story and the characters and really know who these people are that you're about to go on this epic adventure with. The graphics are amazing. The controls are fluid. I love the game. I freaking love it. I'm already started my second playthrough. Once you finish the game, you collect all these treasures and stuff, which kind of gives you like game currency, or I guess options currency, which unlocks all these cool little fun things you get to play with in your second playthrough. Like you can just instantly give Nathan Drake a certain gun that you've played in the game your first time. You can put infinite ammo on. You can change all the characters' outfits. You can do different filters like 8-bit and have stuff like zero gravity. All this super fun things to do. I'm starting my second playthrough over so that I can collect all the treasures. Oh, and Uncharted 4, of course, is multiplayer. I haven't touched it at all. I'm not really a big multiplayer person. It's just not for me. And I don't think really Uncharted needs multiplayer. I don't really see me ever feeling that I want to play Uncharted multiplayer. I did dabble in it a little bit in past Uncharteds that had it, but my life doesn't need Uncharted multiplayer, so I probably won't touch it. I might try it, but I don't think it's going to be something I'm going to play a lot of. Okay, so spoilers. If you've not played Uncharted 4, stop now. Do not go further. You shall not pass, because I'm about to take you to Spoiler Town. So now that it's spoiler time, I was actually really surprised that nobody died. None of the big game players died. I was really expecting someone to die, and I had even said that I wouldn't have minded if Nathan Drake died, because that would have been the end, over and stuff. I really felt like it was kind of a little not very Naughty Dog-ish to not do anything, like have at least somebody, some new character or Sully or somebody die, to kind of, go there, to kind of take the path that you would have not expected them to. And I feel like Naughty Dog does do that. They do like to throw surprises in, and there was just no surprise really there. I did like how they introduced Sam, or not really introduced, but how they went through, and throughout the game you kind of saw why we didn't know he had a brother. I don't think he was planned the entire time, but they did a good job of covering that up, of him thinking he was dead and not wanting to, really think about it and move on with his life, and he hadn't told Elena and all that good stuff. That all made sense, and I liked all of that. It made me a little bit more okay with just all of a sudden this random brother. But what I was talking about a little bit before, the thing that I really, really hated, was the epilogue. Dude, that was such crap. It's like, oh, everything's kumbaya and everything's great. They've got a daughter, and oh my god, the part where she's playing Crash Bandicoot, they wrap everything up with Nathan Drake and Elena, kind of play arguing about who's better at Crash Bandicoot. I'll get more into that part in a minute, but it fades to black, and I thought that was the end, and I was like, that's a great ending. I love that ending. It would have been such a great, like, you know, bringing it back to that part in the game I'll talk about in a second, but also just to Naughty Dog, and just, it would have been the perfect ending. But no. Epilogue pops up, and it's a screen, and you're playing Crash Bandicoot again. The first time we had played it, it was hilarious. It's one of my new favorite moments in a video game. But it's silent. It's just Crash Bandicoot. There's nobody talking. It's very awkward. It kind of pulls away all that excitement you had and how amazing it was when they did it the first time in the game. And now it's just kind of almost like a chore, and it just is a real excitement killer. And then you die in the game in Crash Bandicoot, and you realize you were playing as Nathan Drake and Elena's daughter. I hate when movies and stuff do that. Like, oh, look, they've been married and they're so happy and they have a daughter, and all you do is you walk around reading stupid notes, and these notes are supposed to kind of wrap up other stories, and you see a picture with Sully and Sam, and they're still hanging out together, but they've quit smoking, and just really cheesy, stupid stuff. And then, at the end of the epilogue, she finds Nathan Drake's notebook that he had taken from the old lady's house that was his mother's, blah, 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 blah. And Nathan Drake and Elena come in, and they're like, should we tell her? I don't know, she might still be too young. And they make this big, drawn-out, like, dramatic, like, oh my god, we're really going to open up and tell her something secret. And, you know, of course, it's that they were adventurers. Of course they freaking were. Some of it was illegal, but their house looks like an artifact museum threw up in it. She wasn't an idiot. The little girl, she would be an idiot if it was a surprise to her. And then, you know, they walk out all giggling and laughing about, let's talk about the adventures we had had. Stupid, stupid, stupid. No, I'm so sad that my Uncharted love, well, it's definitely not over. I love Uncharted. But the end of Uncharted ended with that. It was just unneeded, just blah. Nope. But let's get to my two favorite moments in the game, was what I was just talking about, the Crash Bandicoot moment. You probably had the same reaction as I did. I freaking loved it. Like, as I'm playing it, I, of course, didn't beat Elena's high score. But just the back and forth conversation between them while I was playing, and how quick that conversation was back and forth in response to what I was doing. If I was having a hard time jumping over one of the fences or something, Elena was quick to comment on it. Or if I was spinning into the boxes, she was quick to comment on it, and he was quick to comment back. It was just one of those moments in games that don't really have a tie-in to anything. Well, I mean, tie into the story. They don't really have even a real purpose, but they're so freaking awesome. One of my other favorite parts in a video game that affected me greatly and goes down in my brain as one of my favorite moments in video games is when you get to play as a little sister in BioShock 2. Holy shit, that level was just amazing. The fact that they let us do that, and it was just awesome. The Crash Bandicoot stuff part in Uncharted 4 was just, yeah. I think as I was playing it, I was yelling out, oh my god, this is one of my favorite parts in video games. That gameplay, I live streamed on Twitch, but it's now here on YouTube as well. One of my other favorite parts was when you first came into current day Nathan Drake's world. You were in his attic, and you could find this Nerf gun, and all of a sudden, like, the music kicked in, and he was like crouching and super just, you know, playing with his imagination and the bad guys, and we were doing dodge rolls and collecting more Nerf ammo and shooting like targets he had up it, or things that were kind of target-ish in his attic. That was so much fun. It just showed you that he was still just a big kid and just wanted to have a good time. So I loved that part as well. But also in the attic, I loved just all the little small things that you could find in the attic that were past Uncharted stuff. I thought that was just really neat. It was really neat, but also sad because you knew this was the end. But yeah, it was really cool. Oh, and weird side note, I don't know if I missed something in past Uncharted's or something, but Nathan Drake's gun holster didn't have the ND logo on the back, or not logo, but the ND initials on the back. What the hell is up with that? Did he have it in Uncharted 3? I'm pretty positive he did, but I don't remember anything in any of the story that would explain why he didn't have that. But I loved that. That's like a Nathan Drake signature. That would be like Nathan Drake without his ring necklace. His holster has to have the ND on the back. What the hell? I don't know what happened to it, but it definitely was missed. Some other parts of like the story that are kind of spoilerish was I already knew Rafe. Like, instantly I knew that was going to be the bad guy. I mean, I think most of us did. But what I really liked about how they handled it, and again, why I feel like Uncharted and Naughty Dog doesn't treat us like idiots, is they didn't act like it was a big surprise. They acted like, of course the gamers knew this was going to be the bad guy, so let's just, go with it like that. I thought that was handled really, really well. Again, I do really wish that things had wrapped up and ended, on some other or more dramatic note other than, look, everybody's fine and everything's great. End of Uncharted. And damn it, all that treasure. I would not be able to live a normal whatever life knowing that all that freaking treasure was in that cave. And I am glad that they ended up bringing in Elena for a lot of portions near the end, closer to the end of the game. I was worried when, Nathan Drake went off with Sully and Sam and he was lying to her about where he was going and stuff, that we weren't going to see a lot of her and they were going to kind of make her like the homemaker wife at home. It didn't end up that way at all. I like that she ended up going out there and yeah, she was pissed. She had a good right to be pissed, but that she was out there and that she enjoyed getting right back into, the adventure as much as Nate did. I thought that was really, really well done too. I'm glad that we got to see a lot more of her closer to the end of the game. Still would have liked a lot more Sully. Definitely not enough Sully in this game. But yeah, that's all I can really think about. The game, again, hopefully you've played it because you made it through the spoilers. Yeah, as you know, it's a fucking fantastic game. It's absolutely stunning. It's, God, except for that epilogue ending. If we could just erase that, it would be a perfect game. Because I just thought it was such an adventure and just so immersive. I loved it. I'm sad there will be no more, but I'm happy that they're calling it ends while it's good. So good. I'm excited to go and start my second playthrough and get all the treasures and the achievements. One of the achievements I'm really excited to get is the can't remember the name of it, where you have to replicate the kind of failed demo at E3 one of the years, is in the city chase scene with Sully. When Sully takes off, he's like, come on, Nate. You just stand still for, I think it's 30 seconds, which happened at E3 for one of their big debuts. I think what had happened was the controller had turned off or the batteries had died. So when the guy picked up and went to play the demo, it was like, nope. So, or it had unsynced or something. So if you replicate that, you get an achievement. And that one I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, what did you guys think? Let me know down in the comments what was one of your favorite parts about the game and what was one of your least favorite parts about the game. As always, thanks for watching and I totally love you guys.